Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yachts, and today my guest is Darby Camp. She is a up-and-coming actress. She has been in films such as Clifford the Big Red Dog, as well as Slumber Party, and she got her start in Big Little Lies. So enjoy. Now, this is a live interview, so it will sound a little bit different, but I think it's really informative and I think you'll enjoy it. Enjoy. My name is Justin Yachts, and I do a podcast where I talk to filmmakers, actors, producers, pretty much anyone in that industry. And today I have a special guest with me. I have Darby Camp. You may have seen her in quite a few films. Thank you, Darby, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
All right. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm here. So, first question I have is: you work with Sean Penn, Julia Roberts, Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn, Margot Robbie, John Cleese, Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, and Laura Dern, just to name a few. Who is your favorite to work with?
This is such a hard question, and I don't think I can answer it. I mean, everyone has been, amazing for so many different reasons. Miss Reese was great to work with and really great on set and just would help me feel like I was not just a kid on set. She would make me feel like I was just another co-star, like another adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like didn't treat me like talk down to me or anything, which is great. And Miss Nicole was really sweet, and she introduced me to her kids who were about the same age as me. And so I got to hang out with them, and she was really sweet and like to all the kids, and would always like on set be like, come here, like come sit on my lap, you can play with. She was wearing a wig. She's like, come play with my hair, and like was really sweet and nurturing to everyone, all the kids.
I love that she calls her Miss Reese and Miss Nicole. That's so cool. So what got you into acting?
So my mom is actually an actress over here in the red sweater.
Oh, really?
She is, and so she had a BFA. That's what it's called, right?
Is that what it is, Mom?
And acting, and went to college for that. And so at a young age, she like got me and my older sister into it to see what it was like to, like do commercials with her kids. And my sister went off to play basketball and was not really the theatrical type of person, but like an audition came along, and my sister was like, why do you want me to cry in front of the camera when I spend my whole day trying not to cry? I want to be happy. And I was like, I'll do it. That sounds fun. And so it kind of like, my mom got me an agent at a young age, and I kind of just enjoyed auditioning and all that. And my parents one night were on Actors Access, and we're like, look at this role, like for Reese Witherspoon's daughter. It's called Big Little Lies. Like, we should get Darby to audition for that. And my mom was like, are you serious? Like, that's Reese Witherspoon. I mean, we can audition for that, but I'm like, that's a, far shot. But I put myself on tape, and it ended up going really well.
Ah, so that was on Actors Access.
It was, yes.
Ah, the fifth round. Okay.
They'd already auditioned a ton of people in LA. So John Mark definitely wanted a raw North Carolina type of girl, not anybody polished, just a true girl that had eye boogers. He even said that word. He said, don't clean out the eye boogers. I want to see them like they are.
Wow. So who did you train with for acting? I'm curious.
I mostly trained with my mom, and
Really?
I didn't really go to many, like, I didn't really go to acting classes when I was young, and just kind of trained with my mom and Pat Dortch. Yes. Pat Dortch would put me on tape a lot, and yeah. Yeah, it was actually a fun story. So me and my mom was like out of town when I auditioned, and my dad took me to Pat's place and to put me on tape, and it's like 30 minutes away from home. Like, we live in Mooresville, and this is down here in Charlotte. And on our way home, we were literally like at home, like pulling in, and we were like, we forgot to do the singing, and like not sing, but like the dancing part of the audition. And my mom was like, oh, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm sure you can just go like submit it anyway. My dad was like, no, we got to go back. So we drove all the way back here just to do the clip of the director, Jean-Marc Vallée, really wanted to see just the kids like in the audition just dancing to some music and just seeing their true childlike, I guess, type of thing. Yeah.
Can you take us through the process of like how you landed parts over the years from Big Little Lies to the Christmas Chronicles to Clifford as well as Gaslit?
Yeah, of course. So Big Little Lies was we found the audition on Actors Access and put it on tape, and then the callback was they really liked it, and so the director wanted to bring the kids to Los Angeles, and we were there for less than 24 hours. We flew out there, had the audition, and then that night, like we were about to leave, like the next morning, and my mom was like, I think we need to make the most of our time in LA. I mean, hopefully praying that this works out and we'll come back to film, but if it doesn't, like we don't know when we're ever going to be back. And so, yeah. And I obviously hadn't either. And so we went to the Santa Monica Pier and Hollywood Boulevard with another one of the kids who auditioned for Ziggy. And we just really made the most of our night and then had to wake up bright and early the next morning and go to the airport. But it was a fun trip. And then we ended up, getting that call that they wanted me to participate.
So what was it like going in for that audition in LA and never being in an LA before?
Yeah. It was very intimidating. And at the age that I was at, I mean, I obviously felt like it was very intimidating, but I was honestly very like, okay, like I didn't really think that far into it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in and audition. Like that'll be great. I mean, this is pretty scary, but I felt really good about it. And in the waiting room, there were a bunch of other kids like sitting, going over lines. And then I brought in some of My Little Ponies and was playing on the floor with My Little Ponies. And my mom's like, I see these other kids that are like really locked in, like preparing. Like, should I tell Darby you got another one of the moms was like, I think it's fine. I think you should let her, like not stress too much about it. And so, I mean, it worked out.
Yeah.
But it was very intimidating going in, but it was a lot of fun. And the director was he in there? The director was in there, and like the casting director and a producer, and it was just a lot of fun. And I was 7. I was an 8-year-old. And so they really were just fun with it and weren't, super like critical or anything like that, and just kind of played around with the scene.
I love that mom just like let you be a kid as opposed to the other children who are like, no, I've got to do this right now,
Yeah.
So. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So on multi-million-dollar production sets, could you take us through the day in the life of a lead actor? What is that perspective like from call time to wrap up?
Yeah. So the call time it really varies. I mean, my favorite call time is when it's, like in the afternoon, but usually it's about like sometimes it'll be get in the car at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or sometimes like 8 or 9, which is the best, but usually it's around 7. And so Christmas Chronicles was when I would go to set, they would have like a driver that was like assigned to me, and then they had one assigned to like Judah Lewis, who played my little brother, or Jazier Bruno, who he was the little brother in the second one. So we had like our own driver, and they would come to the apartment building we were staying at and pick us up, and like the black SUV. It was I felt very bougie, but it was so the drive us to set, and we get there, and usually I would go to put on costumes first in my trailer, and then in hair and makeup I would sit down and go over the scene that day and make sure I have it down. And I love hair and makeup and getting to know all of the hair and makeup stylists. They're so fun. And but usually in the chair, I'm not, as a kid, not in there for very long because they don't really want to do too much, make you seem all dolled up when you're just a 10-year-old. But yeah, just go through the lines and then get to set and rehearse a couple times before shooting. And then you never know, sometimes they'll say, oh, let's shoot the rehearsal. But yeah, and then film for a while, do some school too, first and foremost, having to do at least 3 hours a day of school every day. And then if you have extra time, banking up extra hours for the days that I work a lot, so that if I can't get 3 hours in, they'll get extra hours that we used either like on the weekends or on days that were a lot less work.
Now, would you be exhausted after being on set and going in and having to do
3 days or 3 hours of school?
I would, and a lot of the time we would do school before filming, so they would call me in a little bit early, and I would do hair and makeup, and then school for a while they're doing shots that I'm not a part of, but on the days that it was a lot of work and I still had to do school and film, excuse me, um, it was definitely really exhausting, but in the end, it's all worth it because it's a lot of fun, but it is exhausting when you have that weekend to rest up.
Do you like to memorize all your scenes, or do you memorize in chunks as you go through production?
Yeah, so before we start filming, I read the whole script, obviously, but I usually memorize in chunks. And so when the call sheet will go out telling you like what scenes you're going to be working on, usually there's a schedule that you can look ahead just in case if I have like a really big like scene with monologue, I'll memorize like a few days ahead. But a lot of the time, like the night or 2 nights before, I'll just read over with my mom and then once I feel good about it, and I'm good for the next day, but usually do it in chunks because I don't want to overwhelm my brain.
Yeah.
Tell them what Reese Witherspoon said when John Mark was chasing that sunset and said, "Let's do the scene."
Oh, right. When we were filming Big Little Lies, it was, we were almost done and the sun was setting, and the director, Jean-Marc Ballet, was like, "Look at this sunset. It's amazing. Let's film the scene we were supposed to do next week. Come on, let's film it right now." And Miss Reese was like, I can't do that. It's a deep emotional scene. Like, I'm not ready.
He said, "I'm good, but I am not that good."
Yeah, she was like, I'm good, but yeah, I'm not that good. I don't know. And he was like, "You got this. You can do it. Let's go." And then she was like, "Darby, are you gonna be able to do this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to." So we did it, and obviously in situations like that, they're very much more graceful about memorizing all your lines and having it on point. But we did it, and it worked out great, and it was a really special scene. But there's also been stuff like that on Clifford when I'm like standing on a truck and I'm speaking out to all these people.
Yeah, I've seen the scene.
I went and got to set that day, and it was memorized, and I was really, really nervous because there were so many like extras that day. Like hundreds of people were watching me do that. And I was like 12, and I was totally like completely scared. And my dad was like, "It's okay, like you've got it memorized, like you can do it, like, and if you mess up, we'll just shoot it again." I was like, "You're right." I literally get off the van fully ready to start filming, and they hand me the script. They're like, "We've completely changed it." And I was like, "Is this a joke? Are you pranking?" They're like, "No, I'm so sorry. We've completely changed all of it. I don't think any of it's the same." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna need a little bit of time here to look over it." But it worked out. I didn't know it word for word at all, but I did my best, and I was standing there, and they would just call it out to me if I forgot it. But thankfully, it wasn't theater, so if I did mess up, we could always piece it together or redo the shot. But yeah, things like that will happen a lot, but it's something you can't really prepare for it. There's not really anything you can do to be ready for that. But it's a lot of fun looking back on it because it was very crazy, but it's a cool memory now, I guess.
How do they respond when you ask for something like that, like more time? Like you're like, "I need to look at this because you just changed everything." How would they respond? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're very graceful because they know what they just did. And with anybody, regardless if you're a kid or not, everyone will need like time to look at it, but they're very nice about it. They're like, "Well, this is the most amount of time we can give you. Can you like use that amount of time?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can try," but they know like that they're throwing that all on you, so they're very nice about it, and like they do their best, but there's not really much they can do about time.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite techniques that you've learned over the years from different directors and producers that they use to get performances out of, a child actor?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about certain directors that I'm working with, like they'll, as a kid, I'm fairly short, they would like get on their knees and like be eye to eye to you so that you're like talking to a peer, and they'll just tell you like one of my favorite things that's kind of like a compliment is when they ask, "How would you say this? Like, is this worded like how a kid your age would say this?" and I'm like either like, yeah, I think it's fine, or no. Like, I would tell them like, I mean, I feel like I would say it this way, and it's really special when they take into like the account of like how I would say it as a kid, but because they're adults, so I mean, really they don't know. But they're like, how would you say this in real life? Like, is this how you would respond? Is this something you would say or do? And I think that's a great technique. I think a lot of directors use because they want it to look real. They don't want it to look like this isn't a real kid. They want people watching it being like, oh yeah, I mean, that's a kid right there, not, a kid pretending to be fake or like an adult or something like that.
Yeah. What are some of, because you've worked with a lot of different directors, what are some of your favorite things that they would do?
Yeah, I mean, everything I just said was about one of my favorite things, and just taking the time, I guess, to like get to know you and really just treat you not like a kid and not talk down to you and just treat you like you're any other actor as well as the other adults on set is really special. And just like acknowledging that, like if I have any ideas and like acknowledging that and really just treating me like any other actor and not like I'm just a kid on set, and just taking the time to want to like, like talk to me, get to know me and who I am, because I mean, you spend a lot of time with these people if you're working with them every day, like all day, and for like months at a time. So it's really special when they really like want to get to know who you are and how you work and stuff like that.
What was Matt Ross like to work with? You worked with him on Gaslit, and I watched the scenes with you and Sean Penn and Julia Roberts, like your very first scene, and I was just kind of taken aback at like just how natural everything was. So I'm just curious, like what was working with him like?
Yeah, he was honestly like one of my favorite directors to work with. He was really amazing and just a really cool guy in general. And so he's an actor as well. So like he knows what it's like to be on both sides. And
He plays Lewis Carruthers in American Psycho. Yes, he does.
She was very familiar with. So that was a very different style of directing than, say, Chris Columbus. So,
right.
like when you finish talking about Matt Ross, compare.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was obviously very theatrical, and like looking back, like my dad would tell me or my mom, like him like watching the scene, he gets really like intense and into it. Like when you're watching it, you can like see it on his face, and like as he's watching it, he's very passionate. And it's really cool like hearing him talk about the scene, and he does a really good job like expressing like how he really envisions it. And I really liked how he would always ask me like what I thought about the scene, and like how would you say, do you have any ideas, like would you like do that? Like I mean, I don't know, I'm just a director, like as a kid, as a young girl, like does this sound right? Like how would you say it, or like do you have any ideas? And I really loved that. He was really cool. And then yeah, comparing with Chris Columbus, on he directed the Christmas Chronicles. He was very like, I mean, he was like that too, but he would, right, like from the
Really?
director's chair in the middle of filming, he would yell, be like, bigger, big eyes, come on, we like more. And I'm very used to, being like natural kind of, and he wanted more like bigger reactions and more like intensity, I guess, and like this is crazy kind of thing. And which was very different than, I mean, Gaslit was very more, somber, I guess,
Yeah.
was the word.
You have a really interesting character. I mean, you're smoking. That show.
That is a funny story because I couldn't hold the cigarette right, and they wanted me to look like natural with it, like I do smoke all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've never even touched a cigarette in my life. I don't smoke all the time, obviously. But and usually they'll use like not a real cigarette, but like an herbal cigarette, so it looks exactly like one. But it's still like kind of dangerous, obviously, and I didn't really feel super comfortable with that. So they had like one that's just like water vapor, and so it's heavier, and so it's kind of hard to hold it, and I like couldn't do it naturally. But then they were like, I mean, it's okay. I mean, you are playing an 11-year-old who, I mean, even if they did smoke a lot, I don't think they would hold it like a regular adult.
Yeah.
So, but that was a fun scene.
What was it like working with CGI creature and Clifford? Because he's not there, and you have to emote. And I think you said it was like a 12-foot puppet that you had to do.
Yeah, it was. It was during the screen test. So the audition process for Clifford, they flew me out to New York City, and they were like, three other girls that were also there. And so they put you in hair and makeup and like everything as if you're going to like film. And that was really intimidating. I had never done anything like that for a screen test. And so that was really special that I saw the puppet and I was like, wow, like it genuinely looked like a giant, like 10-foot red dog puppet that was controlled by two men, one in the front and then one is the butt. And then it was really cool though, because I mean, they really knew how like they had to learn how a dog moves and like their emotions and stuff like that. So in the scene, they'd be controlling it with these like two like sticks and like moving the head. And honestly, the mannerisms were like a dog. I mean, they did a really wonderful job of feeling like it was a real dog. I mean, the only thing was that it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't alive and it wasn't like soft or anything. They had to make it look easy to like paint over in post-production. But it honestly was not as crazy as some people like would imagine it. Because I was like petting something actually, and I had an eye line and all of that, and the head would move as if it was a real dog. So it was really fun.
So it kind of like brought your imagination to life
Exactly.
as you're looking at, as opposed to like, yeah, look at that balloon.
Right, exactly. Like
There it is. It's coming at you.
exactly.
But you also had to deal with CGI in Christmas Chronicles
Yeah.
1 and 2 with like the elves. What was that like?
That was different. I mean, there wasn't a puppet. There were cardboard cutouts or a tennis ball on a stick. And that was kind of hard because I wasn't looking at a face or anything. Like you said, I was literally looking at a tennis ball and nothing was like moving or anything like that. So that was kind of hard because like there was one scene where the elf was standing, I was sitting in a chair and they were standing on my leg. And that was really hard because I had to literally talk to nothing. Nothing was there. And it was a lot of fun though. Like looking at it when it was done, I was like, wow. I kind of wish they like took a snapshot of what it would look like at the end so that I would have a better picture. But at the second one, they created like a real mock-up of what the elves actually looked like. And I have a picture somewhere, but it looked like the real elf. It just didn't move or wasn't alive or anything, but it was like a doll of the actual elf, which was really cool. But they would rarely use it in the actual shot because they wanted something easy to, edit over.
Would Chris Columbus like yell, "You're seeing an elf! Look
No.
at it!"
Exactly. He's like, all right, there's an elf there. There's an elf. Imagine it turned its head. All right, now it's touching your shoulder. Now it's touching your shoulder. And then like when we'd be
David
filming
Lynch.
on the sleigh, exactly, he'd be like, all right, now the wind's really crazy and you're really intense. Like he'd be screaming like while we're rolling. And I'm just like, I mean, obviously listening, but I'm like, how are they going to edit over this? Because he's yelling a lot.
Would they have the dialogue of the elves being played to you, or did you have nothing?
They would have someone speaking. I mean, they spoke in Elfish, so
Yeah.
the person speaking would just be like, what? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
They
thought that.
created the language in Game of Thrones. I've never seen that. I don't know.
Targaryen.
But
yeah.
yeah, created Elvish. So I mean, is a real language. And it's crazy because Mr. Kirk, Santa Claus, he like really was like into it and he learned it and he was really like he gets so passionate about this art and it is so cool to watch. Like he gets really into it and he's like, yeah, this is a real language, and he took the time to really learn it and all that, and it was really cool. But yeah, but when we were filming the people reading the lines, I don't think they really knew Elvish, so they would just be like
Would they give you so would you get like an alphabet with this new language, or like how does it work? I'm curious.
I'm not really sure. I learned it by whatever was in the script. I just learned how to pronounce it, and that's how I learned it. I'm not sure how Mr. Kurt went about it. I think he got more serious into it, but I didn't say it enough. He talked in Elvish way more than me, so.
So how have you been able to live in Charlotte and navigate school while working on large productions based in LA, New York City, Atlanta,
Yeah.
New Mexico?
Yeah, exactly. It definitely is hard to adjust. So I go to community school Davidson, which is public charter school, and I've been there my whole life, like since preschool. And so they've always been really nice about letting me come and go. But being away from my friends is hard, definitely. But so like when I'm out filming legally they have to have a SAG rep and a teacher to certify to be able to teach you. And so it's definitely hard. Like before COVID, like school, we didn't have like an online program. So they would just, kind of email what we're doing. And my mom would like go to Barnes and Noble and just buy like books for me to like work in. And then the teacher would obviously teach me and help me like learn what's happening. So when I come home, I would still be on like the same page. But now since COVID happened, like everyone has like an online, I guess.
Mm.
So when I'm gone, like I can stay on track pretty much perfectly because I have like Schoology, or some people use like Canvas or stuff like that, so I can see everything that's happening. And I can kind of work by myself, but I like having a teacher to work one-on-one with.
Cool. So this is gonna be kind of a little hard one, but could you bring up a story where you may have like failed, or a time when like nerves have gotten to you? Perhaps a story of like, I don't know, you struggled with it and then it ended up all well in the end.
Yeah. So in the Slumber Party, which is on Disney Plus, and it's kind of like a kid version of The Hangover, but they're not hungover. They're hypnotized. But there was a scene and it was scripted with all voiceover. And so like as I'm getting ready to go to the sleepover, it's like me talking, but it's all like voiceover, and it's just a montage. But I got set that day, and the director, Veronica Rodriguez, was like, I think we want to do this Ferris Bueller style of you actually talking to the camera. And I was like, that's a lot of stuff to learn right now. And she was like, you got this. I believe you. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I'm so sorry, but I was like, that's totally fine. Like, I honestly like that style better. So I think it worked out well, and they ended up going with it. But I had to learn a lot that day, and it was really scary. And I like kept messing up, and it was hard. Like I just mess up one thing and I'd blank, and I just stare at the camera and be like, all right, I gotta restart this. I can't. But it was definitely really hard, and I was embarrassed too, because I mean, everyone's watching you on set. No matter where they are, they're looking at a screen or looking at you. So it was very intimidating, just like the situation in Clifford, but kind of like the same thing. And it ended up going really well, and they used it, and it worked out great. And no matter how hard it is, like my favorite thing to remember is that if you mess up, you can always do it again. Like, I mean, they can just redo it. And if they like the beginning of it, they can, piece it together and stuff like that. So I always like to remember that.
You brought up Ferris Bueller. Were you familiar with that film?
I was. It's definitely in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I'm a big Ferris Bueller fan.
Yeah, I know you're a big Back to the Future fan.
Yes,
as well.
that's number 1, I gotta say.
That's cool.
But don't make me choose between the 3.
No? Can you choose between the 3?
I mean, the first one's classic, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're all iconic.
The first one I saw was the second one, which is weird.
You saw the second one
I saw the second one first.
Wow, were you confused?
A little bit.
I would be.
From your vantage point, what would you like to see happen in Charlotte to bring more film and television to this area?
Yeah. I mean, I do see like there are stuff obviously going on around here, but I would really love to see, more stuff like come up in Charlotte, because I see my friends who live in LA, they get to, stay home and continue their lives with their friends there and at their own house, which I miss a lot when I'm out of town and like my dogs and stuff. But I would like honestly love that, just kind of, getting to work every day, but being able to come home to my own bed. But that would be awesome. I really would love to see that. More stuff coming up here.
Do you think that's possible for Charlotte to get more things?
I definitely think so. I mean, there's a lot of stuff filming in Wilmington, which is really close by.
Yeah.
There's like The Summer I Turned Pretty and Outer Banks, which have been very successful filming in Wilmington. And then Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret was actually filmed here in Charlotte, and it's been very successful, and it's going to see a lot of awards and stuff. And so I definitely think it's possible. The more, I mean, just, little by little, I mean, baby steps, of course, but just other people seeing, I mean, this big movie, like, oh, it's filmed in Charlotte, let's look into that. Like, some people probably haven't even thought of it, or like, and see that this movie was filmed there, like, let's look into that. And I think it definitely could start happening more.
I'm curious, who was like a mentor for you throughout your career?
My mom, obviously, of course, first and foremost. But since I was little, I have a funny story. I loved Amy Adams. I would watch Enchanted like all the time, and she was my favorite actress ever. And so my mom has told me like before that was like, if you really love this acting, like I have some friends that we can call, like for example, like Pat and just other people I've known. Yeah. And like if you want, like we can just call them and schedule some meetings and stuff like that. I was like, okay. And then days go by and I'm like, I want to call Amy Adams. I grab her phone. I go, hey, Siri, call Amy Adams. And my mom was like, yeah, I don't have her number. That's not going to work. We can't call her. I just. But that's a fun story. And I've always looked up to her. And as I've gotten older, Jennifer Aniston has been one of my favorites. But I also love to see, actresses and women in directing because I would love to be a director one day, as well as keep on acting. I'd like to do both. And so when I see other women doing the same, it really inspires me to be able to, live my dream, I guess.
Talk a little bit about because I discovered that you want to do directing as well. What is it about directing that you find that you may not be getting from just doing acting?
Yeah. A lot of it's like the same ish, like getting to work with the director is great and just, when they ask you about your own ideas is really special. But I really like, just kind of being like not necessarily like in control, but getting to create something that like working with a writer because writing is really hard. Like I'm taking a writing class this year and it's a lot harder than it seems. So I'm like, I'll work with another writer and we can just, create together and just creating something from like something so small and just really getting to like see it bloom and then work on it like every day and like getting to use your imagination. Like I love seeing like the director working with like the director of photography, seeing them work together on like how to shoot like different like angles and how to film each scene. I've always been fascinated by that. And ever since I was little, I'd watch movies with my mom and be like, Mom, did you notice how they film, like how they pan down, like that kind of stuff? And she'd be like, we going somewhere with this? But I've always liked to take notice in that and just watching movies and even being on set and just seeing how other people, like work on their own job, no matter what it is, be, scripty or like the mic people, like just seeing everyone and their different jobs because there's so many people that go into each film that like when you watch the credits, you see all of those names and it's crazy to think that that many people go into one project. It's really special.
Is that something that you would, well, I know that you took notice of is the cinematographer. Are there some favorite cinematographers that you've gotten to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed, what was his name? I'm trying to think. I forget his name. But seeing even like the cameraman also like being like Eve, what's his name? On Big Little Lies. He like sometimes a cinematographer would like just take the camera and film it themselves, or even the director, like Jean-Marc would do that a lot. Like if he had an inspiration, he would just take the camera himself, put it on his shoulder, and he was very like would like to move around and he would like have it on his shoulder and then he would just turn around and there would be someone standing there and they'd have to like move the light and like move the pole and they'd have to rush because he just spur of the moment like decided to like literally do like a 360 and everyone's on set like trying to move around, not getting the shot. But he wasn't even a cinematographer, but he was just a director, but he had those,
Yeah, that skill.
exactly, yeah, which was really special.
Interesting.
I think Joanne Hawk, she directs like cinematography.
She does, yeah.
She's got the, I know y'all know who she is, but I think good directors and good cinematographers blend together. And you don't really, you hope that they are in cahoots, and when
Yeah.
they are, that's when the most beautiful stuff happens.
And when they're not, it's
awful.
awful.
Is there somebody that you've worked with that kind of helped you through? Because I've seen you've done a lot of interviews. You're doing this right now. That helped you in that aspect of the acting business and presenting yourself.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to think. I can't. No one's really coming to the top of my head, but there have been, I mean, many people who have helped me in just like little things, like um, someone who's I've actually always been able to look up to is Judah Lewis, who was my older brother at Christmas Chronicles, which we knew who we were before we ever started filming, and like his we how was it we how yeah, we had a set teacher on the leftovers who was like, you should talk to Judah Lewis. His mom will help you like figure things out. And she helped us find a great lawyer, and which led to a great agent. And we've always just like been in touch. And when we got like the audition, he was like, it'd be really cool if Darby played Kate. And I was like, it'd be really cool if Judah played Teddy. And so it ended up really well. And he's a lot older than me. So he really helped me kind of, grow, and would just help me become like a great kid actor with always someone to look up to. And I know I always have him like in my corner that I can talk to and, have any questions about anything. Things like that. Oh, yeah, it was Jean-Marc Vallée. Yeah, he worked with Jean-Marc before I ever did. So like we also had that connection.
Was that Demolition?
It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
Demolition.
Well, yeah, it is. It is. I don't know. I think everybody knows, Dallas Buyers Club and now Big Little Lies. One thing I wanted to ask you is, you've done a lot of dark stuff that, most kids probably don't understand. How would you approach material like that, knowing that you're, I mean, the leftovers is about people disappear.
Yeah. I remember the leftovers. I was in one episode, and my dad wouldn't tell me all of it. I was a 7-year-old, so it was very heavy. So my dad wouldn't really tell me the whole premise. He would try to lighten it up a little bit so that I could understand that it was serious, but to a point where I obviously wasn't like really scared of anything, haven't anything about the storyline. But it's definitely hard because I wouldn't really know the full story, and I couldn't watch it. Like I couldn't watch Big Little Lies, obviously, as an 8-year-old, after filming. And so like I would come home and my friends would be like, I don't believe you're an actor because I haven't seen anything you're in. And I'm like, well, everything I've been in has been for adults. And they're like, well, I don't believe you. I'm like, okay. But it definitely was a little hard when at a young age, wouldn't really read the scripts, and my parents would just try to break it down as best they could for an 8-year-old. And then Gaslit, I kind of would, read the scripts, but I liked doing kind of the darker, like more real, serious, like natural stuff. And I'm also very dramatic, so I like to do scenes like that. So that's a lot of fun. But for a while, like having only like adult shows that are out, a lot of my friends at home would be like, why haven't I seen you in anything? If you go away for 5 months and you come back and then there's no record.
You can't see it.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't see it either. So, I mean, tell your parents to watch it.
I'll add that for these typical roles of a young person, she just needed to know her truth.
Yeah.
Most kids don't know that their parents are about to get a divorce and they're arguing, and you walked in on them,
Yeah. So I would really.
Knew all her character knew.
Yeah.
The role that gave her the hardest time was Nosferatu, which you haven't talked about at all.
Oh.
You can talk about that, how you really wanted to do a
Yeah.
horror film, and then
Yeah.
Are we talking about the one that's just coming out soon?
It came out in like 2019. It was Zachary Quinto, and it was based off the book by Jonah Hill.
Oh,
And not Jonah Hill, Joe Hill. Sorry. Joe.
yeah, that'd be a different,
Yeah, that'd be not Jonah Hill, Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. But yeah, I had talked about to my parents. I was like, it'd be fun to do like it'd be fun to do a horror film. And I was like 10, I think, and they were like, okay, sure. And so then I ended up booking Nosferatu, which was a mini series, right? Was it a series? I think it was a mini series, but it was very heavy, and my character played a demon, which was a little bit not like a demon, just like she was abducted and like got turned into some weird thing, and so I would have to wear like makeup that made me look like dead almost, and they would do like purple veins through my face, and I was like gray, and my hair would be white, and I had to wear fake teeth that made my teeth look like just like disgusting.
Discolored.
Like not discolored, but it was like an animal. Like it wasn't human teeth. It was very scary, and I had to do a lot of scenes with like blood all over me and just very morbid kind of. And after I did that, and we were filming like during Halloween too, it was very sad. And I was telling my mom, I was like, I really said I want to do horror, but I think I'm good with just regular dark stuff or not like or more like Christmas stuff. But yeah, I mean now I think it'd be a lot better, but as a 10-year-old saying I want to do horror, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, I guess. But looking back now, I mean, every experience has been wonderful.
So who would you like to work with next in acting or directing?
I would really love to work with Jennifer Aniston has always been on my list, and Leonardo DiCaprio and Viola Davis seems amazing. I just love her, and she has done so much work that has just been outstanding. And I don't know, I really admire her.
Read her book. So now we come to the part where I ask some questions that I just have on my mind. What are you watching right now?
What am I watching? I just finished Gilmore Girls for the first time. And I don't know why I waited so long to watch it, but me and my mom binged it, and it's awesome. And I've always been watching Friends. I mean, I've seen it all 10 times. I always have it on. I'm not really watching anything really new right now because I've been super busy with just staying, schoolwork and that kind of stuff. But what else? Me and my mom watched Dead to Me, which is so good on Netflix. I love Dead to Me. It has to be one of my favorite shows.
Normal dark. What are you reading right now?
I am actually reading. So my friend Reagan Reward, she plays Missy in Young Sheldon. She is like one of my best friends, and she's a writer and really into reading and all of that. So she'll always give me book recommendations. I don't know. I think it's a secret. I think it's a secret.
Wow.
Yeah, but she's doing great in that, and it's really special. And so she'll always give me book recommendations, and I'm not a big reader, but she recommends it to me. I know it's good. So I'm reading this book called The Twin by Natasha Preston, maybe? I can't remember her last name, but it's really good. It's like a thriller kind of, and I like thriller mystery kind of books, but it's going really good. I'm about halfway. So.
Interesting. What are you listening to right now?
I just got my Spotify Wrapped, and my top artist was the Beatles. I love the Beatles, and it was the Beatles, the Smiths, Billie Eilish, Pink Floyd, and Fleetwood Mac. I think those were my top 5. Thank you.
What about Taylor Swift?
She's not my jam, but I have respect for her, of course. I have respect for her, and I have friends who are fans. But she's not my favorite artist, but I have tons of respect.
Do you meditate?
I don't. I'm not really the meditating type, but I am the type of person that needs my alone time at a certain time point, and I'll just like lay in my room and listen to music, and I pray to. I'm very, passionate in that way, but always, when I wouldn't call it meditating, but just praying in times of stress or any time I just need to talk to God.
That's a form of meditation. So there you go, right there. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Now we're gonna open it up to floor here, and I'm gonna. Can I drag this? Does anybody want to ask Darby a question? Okay.
Does anyone have a question? Yeah, we have a few minutes for question. Anyone else?
No pressure.
There we
Come on up to the mic. Oh. This is actually
filmmakers like to gather their friends and go out and make movies together. And I'm just curious if you ever did that early on, where you have local friends who are filmmakers, and did you ever do like I can't really think of anything like that. I mean, one film I did do with my mom that was filmed in Toccoa, Georgia, called When We Last Spoke with Joanne Hogg was just a lot of fun. It's on Amazon Prime, and my mom and I are very proud of that because we got to work on it together. And it was, I mean, it was in Toccoa, Georgia, so I guess I would say that's pretty local. But it was really cool. Me and my mom played the same character, but like, I mean, 30 years apart. And so they had her dye her hair and like put in like lighter color contacts, which was really cool to see her as me. It was odd. It was very odd. But it was so much fun, and I guess that I would say that that was pretty, I mean, local with them. We had a lot of friends that were working on it that we already knew, and I worked with the lovely Chandler Head. I don't know if a lot of you know her, but we played sisters and got really close with that. What is one ingredient of an actor? I would say you have to have a passion for this art. I mean, it's really hard to just like do this if someone else is like wanting you to do it. You really have to want to do it for yourself because it really shows in the scene if you want to be there. Like if you want to be there, I mean, you're going to do a great job, but I can see there are a lot of people I'll see like doing interviews and just even just in a show, a lot of the times will be like, wow, they really didn't want to be there. And I can just tell that they sometimes, I don't know, but I think you really have to have a passion for this art and really want to be where you are. Yeah.
So so I work in casting, and you have to reject everyone but one person for the role. How do you deal with that kind of rejection? I mean, as a teenager, that's it's not easy.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
That's a really good question. When I was younger, to be honest, I mean, I would get sad, but it wouldn't really faze me as much because when I was younger, I was very, I just was focusing on me and I didn't really think about, like I didn't think about what other people were thinking of me. I was like, oh, okay, they just didn't want me for the part. And now that, I mean, at this age, everyone is thinking like, oh, like what didn't they like about me? Like, did they not like my hair? Did they not like who I was? Like what was it? And people always tend to overthink, but I've actually always been, I mean, pretty good about thinking, well, it's not personal. They don't not like you. It's just someone's better for that part. And it's not anything like specific about you. Some people are just perfect for something. And I always think about it like or man's rejection is God's protection. So I know that if I didn't book something, it's not meant to be. And I can't really get upset. Obviously, it's hard to have rejection if you really are set on something. But I just always know that, okay, it's not meant to be. And then the right part is always going to come to me. If it's meant to be, it will happen.
That's a really grown-up point of view, which is awesome. I think that's amazing because a lot of child actors do not have that point of view and they struggle. So where did you get that confidence from?
Yeah, I have to say my dad has always been like that. And my mom has been great about it too, but my dad has always taught me that. And he's always been very confident in everything he does and the type of person to just not think about, what other people are thinking of him. And he's just to the beat of his own drum, I guess would be the saying. But he's always taught me really well in that. And
He's always said that think of those no's you had. If they were yeses, you would not have done Christmas Chronicles.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
But there's others, I'm sure, that
Mhm.
had you booked that thing you thought you wanted, you would have not been available. For other
Exactly. Yeah, he's always taught me that. And he's like, well, if you had gotten this one, you wouldn't have done this, which has been, I mean, your favorite experience. And you never know, like this one project that said no could have been, a really horrible experience. And, you could have not really like worked well with the director or the other actors on set, whether like, I mean, it was in the same time as this project that you did, which was you worked great with all of them. And so I feel like there's always, God hears conversations that you don't. And so I know that he's always looking out for what's best for me. We'll never know the right answer.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question?
So you talk about wanting to work on a horror film and then that coming to fruition. If you could have something like made just for you, like just what would be your dream role to do, like either now or at any point in your life later
I love, ever since I was little, I've been a geek of superheroes and comic books. So I would love to do, whether it's a Marvel or DC, I've always wanted to be.
There you go. Got it, Chewy.
I can't. Okay.
Come on, it's more.
What character would you want to play?
I would love to be one of like a spider. Not like so one of my good friends, Sydney Sweeney, was Spider Woman in the new Madam Web.
Yeah.
And so that just looks really cool. And so I know there's a lot of Spider Verses. So there's a lot of different kinds. But I also maybe if there was like one new one that's like her own superhero, that would be really cool. But I would try, but I'd have to have some help with my friend Reagan, who I mentioned earlier, is an amazing writer, and we've always talked about writing something together, just like her writing something and working together on it. So that's definitely one of my dreams, is no matter what it is, just working on something with her would be so fun.
What about DC? Sorry.
I couldn't decide. I mean, whichever one comes to me first, honestly. Like I like DC, it's my initials. So. Oh no. No, but I do like DC. I just have to say the Marvel movies, I like the movies of Marvel better, but no hate to DC at all. I just think that Marvel has done the movies in a way that DC hasn't.
Yes.
This might be a question for the moment, I'm not sure, but did you guys ever apply to roles by yourself locally and then maybe, or did you like start with a local agent and then upgrade to a better one, or not? How that process?
I started with the local agent, and so a lot of it, I mean, came from her. And I mean, we would look on Actors Access a lot, and my mom and dad would look for stuff as well as my local agent. And so like Big Little Lies came from literally my dad and my mom were sitting in bed looking at Actors Access and like found it.
We had an agent to call.
Yes,
We called that
exactly.
agent, the agent did the step. So it's, I mean, that definitely helps.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you could have gotten the actual, like, they would actually work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first step.
But it is like,
Yeah.
Actors Access does make it easy when you're looking for
Right.
what's out there. But,
Yeah. When people ask me like, how do I get into acting? I mean, the first thing is find an acting class and then find an agent, because you can find auditions, but if you don't have an agent, it's going to be a lot harder to, get your audition out there. Right.
So, Darby, I have 4 daughters that are all working actors. Can you talk to us about a moment when you kind of felt like this was just too much, it was overwhelming? Because my 8-year-old, she got to the point at one time she was just like, I don't want to do this. I think maybe it was me that was stressing her out. You know, so much pressure to make sure that I'm giving you attention to, enough attention to each one of them, and submitting and, updating headshots for each one of them. I think she got to the point where she was just like, I don't think I want to do this.
Yeah.
Then she changed her mind when her little sisters were really big. But I still, like, can you tell us about a time when you just kind of felt like, I just want to be normal. I just want to be regular.
Definitely. That has crossed my mind a lot through the years. I mean, I was at a point where I literally worked the whole year of 2019. Like I was gone the whole entire year, and it was a lot. And even just at home having a lot of auditions at a time is extremely overwhelming. And I had many days talking to my mom like, I can't, like, I'm done. I'm quitting. I am not doing this anymore. And everyone, I think, has those doubts and those feelings. And I've said before, I'm like, I just want to be a normal kid, and like I get all caught up in the stress and anxiety that I just blurt out, I don't want to do this, I want to quit. And then like, the next morning I'll be like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like, I really don't want to quit. I just am really overwhelmed with all of this work, and not work, but like all of this stress with auditions, not even just working. And it, I think, crosses everyone's mind. And I definitely have days like that where you just want to quit, but then the payoff is what I try to focus on. Like auditioning is not my favorite thing to do in the world, but I just need to do it because even if I don't book an audition, you still got out there to different casting directors. They know your face and they know they've now seen you. And so even if you didn't get that, they can remember you for other roles. And it may seem really hard, like just with, like you were saying, like headshots and auditions and stuff like that. But the payoff when you really get a role that you really love and you're there, like I always think how like exhausted I am. Then I'm on set with all these people and I'm doing what I love. And I realize like I never wanted to quit. It was just anxiety talking to me. And it's really the payoff is so magical.
One of the big things that her dad would say, we have another daughter that's older and she plays basketball. And so we tell them like they each have their thing. And if we were to say, yeah, let's just throw in the towel, when our kid who plays basketball doesn't want to go to practice, we like that doesn't sound right, right? But see, like when she wants to throw in the towel, I'm like, you're right. I'm an overbearing actor mom who's just really upset that you stole all my life's dreams and hopes, and I'm just really, really jealous. You should quit. You should quit. I don't because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be what I'm afraid that I read about in all those books. I'm glad my mama died. Whatever. Real novels, something like that. And I'm like, I don't have to write that book, so you should quit. And my husband's like, so if she quits acting, then Ruthie can quit basketball because she doesn't want to go to practice tonight. And I'm like, she can quit basketball. She's a baller. She's talented. She's good. And he's like, and so is Darby. And I'm like, get back to work, honey. So every kid takes life at some point, and so you just have to remind them that they are normal when they feel abnormal. They feel
Yeah. When I'm around like the right people.
that way.
Like I'll be at home and I go to a regular school and I'm with all these people who, I mean, they're all, like playing sports and I don't really do any of that because like she said, like acting's my thing and then sports was my sister's thing. And so like when I'm at home, I'm definitely like, there are some like where I feel out of place a little bit like that. And I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, I have to leave for 5 months at a time, all of this, like the auditioning is so hard. And then I'm there on set with all these people who are just like me and they have the same interests as me because they're on set too and they're actors too. And I can relate to them in this kind of thing and in the art. And so then that's when it's really special. And I realize my friends at home are amazing people as well. And I can relate to them with other things. But then when I'm with the people who are like me, like my friends who live in LA, who are actors as well, it's like a different level of connection, I guess, where I can really feel like myself around them.
Okay, I'm curious to hear from my we have some child actors here. Do any of you guys have any questions about what it's like to start as a child actor? Anything? No? Nothing? Okay. Awesome.
That's a really good question. And it's totally normal to feel that way. I definitely get scared a lot, especially.
How does she not get scared on set when she's with a lot of people that she doesn't know?
That's definitely normal, and especially like on my first two projects, I felt that, and I still do, honestly. But it is really scary getting up in front of a bunch of people you don't know, and you know that they're all looking at you and you're on camera. But I try to think like, usually like when you're filming, I always think about the people who aren't in the room, but I know that they're looking at me, and I just try to get out of my head and think like all these people here are normal people, just like I am. And they have insecurities too. They overthink just as much as I do. And so I always think like I'm not alone. They're just like me. And in the room I'm in, even though there are people watching me outside the door, I just think, well, I'm in this room, there's only 10 people in this room, so I always think these are the only 10 people watching me right now. And I always think about that so that for sometimes, like, when I'm filming, I try not to look around, but I try to, like, kind of find, like certain spots where no one's standing. So if I want to look around, I'm not, like, making eye contact or looking at a person, realizing, oh, there's people in here. But I just try to get out of my own head and realize that all these people are just like me. They're normal people and they have the same feelings that I do.
So I'll come in with one question because we've all been teenagers. If you're saying that you're looking for it's a period of time, obviously. So how do you deal with like things like prom?
That's a good question. Like prom, I haven't been to prom yet, so I'm a junior, so this will be my first year going. But with like homecoming and like other just like events, it's really hard. Like when I'm away and I like, see things on social media of my friends all hanging out, it's definitely really hard. And I try to like stay away from my phone because I know it'd be so much easier if I didn't have social media because I wouldn't know what anyone's doing. But I haven't dealt with missing out homecoming or prom yet, thankfully. But I know that if I do have to deal with that, I I don't know what I would do. I mean, it sucks, but I always have to realize like I know like where I am now is exactly where God wants me to be and I'm meant to be here. And I mean, I'm where I want to be like filming and like being an actor is what I love to do and I'm really passionate about it. So, I know in the end like this is probably what I would choose anyway if I had the option like would I want to do prom or would I want to film a movie? I want to go to work. And I just try to think like this is where I'm meant to be. I'm having fun here and like I try to focus on where I'm at, not where I could be.
Well, I hope you never ever have to make a choice. So.
Thank you. I hope so too.
All right, well, that's going to close this out tonight. Thank you guys all for being here. I'll do my can't wait to see you in January, and I'll have to close this out.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. If you want, you can check out my podcast, the DMF with Justin Yance. Please don't ask what DMF stands for. It stands for something, but not vulgar, but you know. All right, one day I'll tell you about it. But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Darby.
Thank you guys so much. It was so much fun to be here.
All right, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Okay, that about does it for my interview with Darby Camp. I want to thank her personally. I want to thank the entire team at the CFC, the Carolina Film Community, for allowing me to interview Miss Camp. As always, you can find me at Justin Yance. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider checking out the YouTube channel. And I will see you next time on the DMF.